Hey there, welcome to SharkCast Pod, a podcast dedicated to the greatest sporting club in the history of the world, the mighty Cronulla Sharks. My name is Sam Shinazzi. That is Josh Bolling. We are brought to you by Dyson Logistics, the Royal Motor Yacht Club in Port Hacking, and Jason Hawes of Crips and Crips Real Estate. And of course, I can do a better intro for our friend Josh. He is our dedicated regular guest host. He is the man with his ear to the ground. He's watching replays left, right, and center. He's analyzing, and he is out there having fun. Josh, welcome back to the show. Thank you for your time. How are you feeling after that Bulldogs win, my friend?
Samuel, it's good to be back. We tried to do a pod last week and just didn't line up. But after the weekend, man, pumped. Like, super impressive performance. And I was, as you know, very anti playing full team. I wanted to rest as many as possible. And then just kind of after seeing it and getting away with it for the most part, in hindsight, I'm glad because I think that's the performance really that the team needed before we jumped into a big finals game. And I think it's not that it matters, but it's swayed a lot of public opinion to go, maybe this side can, do something. And there's a lot of chat about the Sharks now that it hasn't been in previous weeks. And it's exciting, man. I can't wait for Saturday.
Well, I'm with you. I was exactly the same way, as you know, and a lot of our listeners know. And I will say it does matter what people think now because there is a lot of respect for the team. And it's great being underdogs, but you also don't want to be that team that everyone wants to play. You don't want to be the one that everyone disrespects. And we kind of have had that. And at least that's an example of us toughening up and not taking a backward step and still playing creative football, amazing stats, which you know about. And yeah, I was super impressed. I know at the end of the day, it doesn't mean a lot if they go on and don't replicate some of that, but we can't ask more of them. Like they went out there, they dominated, relatively injury free. Hines got off, so we kind of dodged all these bullets. And it's just luck because Canterbury lost half their team or whatever, and we've seen other teams lose a lot of players. So maybe that's the kind of luck we need. Hopefully continues throughout the final series. But yeah, I was thoroughly impressed. Tell me about, I mean, we didn't have a bad player out there, but tell me who stood out for you.
I got to say, I thought Billy Burns was exceptional. Now, I know his stats don't read that well, like 4 runs for about 40 meters and 34 tackles, which is great. But I thought his energy and his enthusiasm is infectious. I think not just amongst the players, but I think fans too. Like you see a lot of people like when he scored that try, just the clapping and jumping and yahooing and all the boys getting around it, like that is infectious and that breeds confidence and it brings that energy that sometimes I think we lack. And we only really have guys, like Ronaldo that really spark up the boys. And I was just like, his work in defense was incredible, just dragging blokes back and smashing people. And I thought it was probably his best game of his career. And he had a lot of friends out there too, mind you. I thought Tommy Hazelton was incredible. The Blake, probably my top 3. I'd probably say Burns and it's tough. Like I thought probably Burns and Tommy and probably Brayley. I thought Blake was, at his scintillating best, just running, scheming, deceptive. I just missing a kick, and I thought he had one of his best games, to be honest.
Yeah, on Billy Burns, and he will come up in this episode more, but there was definitely a shift in, I think, thinking and attitude from people around him, the staff, the players. They started noticing what he was doing at cup level, and then when he got his chances at training and in first grade, there was a real, people were just like us. We were like, oh man, this guy's got something. And it's all very well to be like energetic and full of beans, but to have that and then prove it with football is an additional thing. As you said, we don't really have. Like our guys are pretty chill, except for a couple of them, obviously, but a lot of them are pretty chill. And I do think it's something that the coaching staff have noticed. When I am very lucky to sometimes see them do some training, he's like that out there at training. He's definitely, I'm not going to say he's a leader, but he's someone who is very verbal. He's very, affectionate with his reactions, and he's a real part of the team. Like if anyone's thinking Billy Burns is just like a fringe kind of guy, like he's an integral part of the squad, and I think maybe he's buying into that from a playing point of view. And we'll get to the team list later, but you've seen how serious he's being taken now, and to have a guy who was originally a fringe guy do that for the sort of coin he's on, and for the lack of fuss that he brings, and he's just a no frills kind of footy player. It's super impressive recruiting, and yeah, I like everyone else. I'm on his bandwagon. I think he's been great. He's not the world's greatest footballer, but he just brings it out in so many different ways. Like he can defend, he can run hard, he's enthusiastic, errors are minimal. Yeah, I think he's going pretty good, and it's a big role that he's filling for the fellow that was missing for 3 weeks. So,
you saw him on that chase on the Chihuahua break. He was one of those guys like steaming back and showed a bit of toe, and like helped to try and keep Chihuahua from putting under the post. And he's played 14 games this year now, and I'll be the first to put my hand up. I thought when we signed him, I thought if this guy plays more than 5 games a year, we're in big trouble. I think I said that on the pod, and I'm happily eating my words. He's been so good, and I think he's hardly had a bad game for us.
I agree completely. And he left the Dragons, and I think he left because he liked the environment more here. Like he could see that it was a better environment, and it was probably less chance of playing first grade here than there, but he's rolled with it and it's paid off, and he's already signed again for next year, which is awesome. And I'd tell you who else I thought was really good, and he got the headlines for the wrong reasons, was Nicho Hynes.
Oh yeah,
I thought he was sensational, and to his credit, Dan Atkinson did his role really well, and we know now that he was pretty busted up before he played, Dan Atkinson. So a brave effort, a real team effort. No one can really doubt that sort of team player that he is. And I thought Nicho just led them around so well, defended well, and really looked confident in what he was doing. And even to the point where he made that tackle right at the end and got in trouble for it, he just never switched off. And thankfully, it's come to nothing, because I think if our boy goes to the judiciary, I really think that the spotlight and the bright lights and the headlines kind of probably play a few more tricks on him than what we want, because it would probably be tonight, right? It would have been a Tuesday, probably.
Yeah, I think so.
And, if he gets off, then he gets to play, but he's still going through all this stuff. Whereas he had 1 or 2 sleepless nights. The club was on top of it. A lot of behind the scenes stuff, I'm led to believe. And he was free, and he got to train yesterday with ease, and he got his media out of the way, and it's a pretty carefree week for him. So very happy for him. I think he deserves it. He did a great year. It was kind of a bit shocking that he might miss the game, not only from a personal point for him, but obviously the team needs him too. One of our best players, and he showed that last week. So super happy that it all worked out okay. It's just, I guess we were lucky that the injury wasn't that bad to the Canterbury chap, and we're lucky they were pretty honest with their appraisal. They could have just gone, no, he's got a broken leg or whatever, and that'd be it. That they're under an obligation to. So, congrats to the Bulldogs for running a pretty good ship over there. And but yeah, Nicho Hynes, super game. I thought super.
I thought very measured and controlled. There was a few little moments early on with a crappy pass that went to the ground, but thankfully nothing came of it. But I just thought it was in complete control. And I guess it comes down, I don't want to get into too much, but the old, does him and Tricky play better, when they're the boss, I guess. But yeah, I just think the kicking game was really accurate and deliberate, and the ball playing, like we saw, like some of the passes that he was throwing, like that was Nicho of 2022, sort of like just that he felt in control, and you could see he looked calm. And I think sometimes you can see when he's lost his head a little bit, and he's looking around and bouncing around looking for plays instead of allowing the game to come to him. And I think that's when he looks his best. And you can usually tell pretty early on if he's going to have a barnstormer. And also the goal kicking. I think
Ugh.
it's been really strong. Like, it's been really good this year. And I mean, it's no reason why that he's the second top point scorer for the year.
Yeah, for sure.
Couple of tries this year obviously helped. Like, he's had a really good, like, even just stats wise, like, he's had a really
Yeah.
strong year with 7 tries and 20 try assists, leading the line break assists for the comp. Like, he's put together a really good year.
Yeah, people that are critical of him, they're not watching the game. They're reading the highlights, they're reading the forums, they're reading Twitter, whatever. They're not watching the games. He's gotten better as the year's gone on, which is great. And yeah, obviously the spotlight never goes away for him. It's another big one this week, and we expect the world from him, and hopefully he can deliver it. But Trinder will be back, so I think that's positive news. But yeah, shout out to Dan Atkinson, who was incredible. Particularly knowing that he had a pretty awkward, I think it's a hip injury or something like that. So he definitely played out of his skin for us. But yeah, not a bad player on the park. The wingers were great. Let's talk about that. The kick defense. I thought that Katoa and Ronaldo did really well under the high ball. Now, obviously, this week is going to be a different test altogether, but I thought it was a good warm up. And I thought guys like Ramian and KL did enough to sort of help out with that. It was kind of borderline illegal at some points. They got away with it, and they may not get away with it this week, but I was just happy they were trying something, and it worked.
Yeah, I think you could see, I thought with Katoa especially, like, he looked to own those situations and those high balls, which I think in games previous or years prior, he's looked really hesitant and kind of half-hearted going for balls. And it's like, just go for it, man. Like, it's the same with any winger. Like, if you just go for it, if you mess it up, so be it. But like, having the confidence in yourself to try and out jump guys who are, probably more athletic than him. And same for Ronnie. Like he's a good leaper as well. Defensively, probably has a bit to work on, but in the air. But I thought they were both outstanding. Probably the best 1 to 5 performance, and it's no secret that that's because we actually got our 1 to 5 together. Like, it's crazy that they haven't played together. That 1 to 5.
Yeah, and we talk about next man up all the time, and thankfully this year we've got great next man up, but they're 1 to 5 for a reason. So it is a big deal if you haven't had your 1 to 5 all year. Like, you could sort of scoff at that and go, yeah, but 4 out of the 5 guys are great. Then you got some guy come. It's like, no. If you've got your starting 5, it's a massive advantage. So hopefully this week again, it continues to roll. We're going to need it because we're coming up against a really great team, which we'll get to. But overall, great performance. Big crowd at Canterbury, loud crowd for some time, and they got past that, and that was the best way to do it, was to silence the crowd, is just to score some points, and they'll shut the hell up, and that was good. And no disrespect to the Dogs fans, like, amazing crowds all year round, and they're in for a lot more fun this year anyway. But even things like the ridiculing of us with the training and the speakers, it's like, well, end of the day, we got the job done, whatever it takes. And I'm led to believe they do that all the time. The coach said that in his press conference. Like, it's not just like a Bulldogs thing. They replicate sound in stadiums. And I think if you're critical of that, then you're really not open-minded about where we're going. Like, it's like I didn't find it cringy at all, and Fitzy said it wasn't a secret. The gates weren't shut. We didn't do it at a time when no one would hear. Like, they just did it because that's what they do regularly. So full credit to them. And we just need to back it up again, I guess. The NRLW had a disappointing loss, Josh, against the Bulldogs. The team had only won 2 games all year, and we were their 3rd win against us. And I get the feeling the fact that the Sharks women's team had clinched the week before might have been a bit of a, looking at the week ahead, and so got the Roosters this week, big clash, and the finals the week after. I feel like maybe had something to do with it. That's not really an excuse, but disappointing result. And they got the Roosters this week, so that's going to be a tough one. That's actually Thursday night for people unaware of that. Thursday night, you'll be able to see that in all the places you watch footy. It's in Gosford for some reason. So that's what's happening in NRLW, and you can hear more about that on our NRLW episode, which will be out in the next 24 hours or so, because I didn't realize it was a Thursday night game. I did realize, but hadn't done all the math. But you'll be hearing more about that, hopefully with some interviews. Josh, before we move on, I'm going to tell you about the Royal Motor Yacht Club in Port Hacking. They're good friends of ours. You can get in touch with them, 9523-9300. They've got an awesome website, which is rmycph.com.au. They encourage you to be a member. You don't have to be a member, though. You can just rock up. Tell Liam that we sent you. They've got an amazing restaurant called The Galley. Josh and I and other Sharkcasters have been there many times to have a good feed. You can watch all the sport you want to do, particularly Sharks games and rugby league. Great bar to watch sport, beautiful views, and a very family friendly place. So that's the Royal Motor Yacht Club in Port Hacking. Josh, there is news around. Let's talk about some re-signings. Have you and I discussed Blake Brayley?
Probably not. I'm happy to talk about Blake.
What does that mean to you, the big deal there?
Look, obviously it's incredible. I don't think I got too excited because I expected it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So didn't think he was going to go anywhere. He never wanted to leave. We wanted to keep him, but it's great to just have it done, locked in. Super important signing. There's not that many good hookers around the comp at the moment. It's probably a handful that you'd say are really good first graders that can play 80 minutes. Harry Grant, maybe Mitch Kenny, Appy Coruscant's decent, but Blake's in that sweet spot now where he's about to go through the stratosphere if he continues on the way he's going, and rep footy awaits. Hopefully premierships await, but I just think this is the year, this is the Blake that we thought we were getting, when he was coming through the juniors, and this kid's something special, and he's delivering. And it took maybe a year or two longer than we wanted it to, but better late than never. He's 26, 27. He's got 4 or 5 really good years left in him.
Did you notice how good a captain he was last week against the Bulldogs?
I just thought that even the captain's challenges felt, more accurate, and the team felt there was a calm presence out there with him.
Yeah, the way he speaks to the referees. I mean, he's a very polite guy. If people, I know a lot of people on here know him and have met him, but if you haven't, very polite, humbled guy. You probably won't meet anyone more like that. And he's very calm when he talks to the ref, but he's also, serious about what he does. And I just noticed that there was the talking to the ref, there was the pushing of the fella who was picking on Sione. He really just sort of stood up, I thought, for us, and played great, obviously. But yeah, I'm super stoked that he's sticking around. It was never in doubt. People who thought it was in doubt, I mean, he didn't look into it hard enough. He was never leaving. It was more just let's get the right deal, and they got the right deal for both parties. And I feel like he's going to go down as, I know it's a big statement, but I feel like he could go down as one of our all-time greats. I really do, because he's going to have the games on his side. He's going to have a lot of great performances now. And, maybe it'll take something special like winning a comp or something. But I just think that if he's not going to be one of the all-time greats, I think he'll be one of the all-time fan favorites. I think people are really won over by him now. And, he's got to continue to play good footy. But I think it's just a really feel-good deal all over.
He's very marketable too. He's a young, fresh face. He's good looking. He speaks well. He's a bit cheeky, and throw on top of that, he's a bloody good football player as well. And I think he's very relatable with kids. Kids can aspire to be someone like that. He's not the biggest dude, so it's if you work hard and you're good at what you do, you can be leading a first grade side, playing for your local club, hopefully the Sharks. And I wanted to ask you, Sam, what do you think the captaincy could take his game to another level? Because I was probably worried that he probably didn't have that captain like that Cam McInnes. You just look at Cam and you go captain. And just even off that one game and where he's going, I think it could maybe take his game to another level.
I think it can. I think the difference with Cam McInnes is that you look at him, and we've always said it, you want to run through a wall for him or whatever, right? And that's the sort of captain he was. And Gallen was kind of the same, but it doesn't mean every captain has to be like that. Because for Cam Smith from Melbourne, for example, it was a different sort of, and I think he's more in that role, obviously with the body shape in his position. That's obvious. But my point being, when I look at him, I see a guy who's very strong in what he does. He leads by example, but he's also, a bit lippy, a bit cheeky. But when he does speak football, you do tend to listen because he just sort of flicks that switch. So I think he could definitely be someone they look to for inspiration. It's just a different sort though from a Cam McInnes, for example, because Cam's just like, I'm going to keep running until I stop. Whereas Blake's similar, like he's obviously a workhorse, but it's just not as obvious. It's more methodical. It's more, I don't know, just a different style. But I think he can definitely, based on the couple of games I've seen, it hasn't affected him. And I don't think, see, the difference here between a guy like Blake and Nico is I think Blake just remains calm no matter what. Like I've seen him be smashed by blokes and he stays calm. I've seen him lose by 40 and he stays calm. I've seen him win by 50 and he's very calm. Nico obviously rides the emotions a lot more. And I think Nico would be a fine captain. He's done it before for us. Like he's a leader out there. Obviously off the field, he's amazing. But I think with Blake, he has the ability to take everything in and not let it affect anything. Whereas with a guy like Nico, potentially, and there are other guys in the team, I would say Trindle's the same, just those guys who've just got a bit more going on and a different game style, particular to what Blake has. I think they would not struggle, but they wouldn't do it as easily as Blake. I think Blake's just one of those guys, like, in high school, you probably liked him, but you found him really annoying because he was good at everything. Like he was probably, semi-intelligent at homework. He could probably ride a surfboard. He could probably ask the girl out for a date. Like the whole thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's just
Like
one of those guys. Cool. Yeah. Just exactly like me. I'm not suggesting, like we're going off on a tangent. I'm not suggesting the other guys weren't like that. I'm sure they actually were. I'm just saying I think that nothing really overly phases Blake Brayley.
I think he takes everything in his stride. This is like, okay, error, next job. But how do we get over this? Whereas I think you're right. Like if we get a knock on call, you can see Nico sometimes get a little flustered and he's like at the ref and he's looking, do we challenge? Whereas I think Blake, you just kind of see him just take that second, process what's happened. And I think like even just those little things like challenges, I think he'd be more adept at.
It's like, when you hear me do the interviews with the players and you listen to the different responses, and none of them are sort of wrong or inaccurate because it's just their responses to what they're thinking. But if I was to ask Blake about what Saturday meant to him, this Saturday coming, I reckon he'd be just pretty calm. He wouldn't exactly say what I want him to say. Whereas a Sifa Talakai, a Braden Hamlin-Welly, a Ronaldo, they would lay it on the line. This is everything. This is do or die, go home. They'd lay it on. Blake would be like, it's a big chance for us, and I hope we can go do it. We're going to be trying our best for our fans. And it's not a cliche. It's just he's that kind of relaxed. It doesn't mean he's not competitive. I know that he took the losses pretty hard in the last few finals games. That was discussed in the last few weeks, maybe by Dave Riccio, by someone. But so he's very competitive. I'm not trying to suggest that he's not.
You can see that.
Yeah. I just think that he's, I thought it was him or Teague, to be fair. And I think there'd be no wrong answer there either. Like Teague would be incredible. But again, Teague would be a different leader. Teague is game faced 24/7, and that's great.
Whereas I don't think Teague needs the C to be leader. Like he already does lead a lot of those sides and those team talks.
Yeah. We're blessed to have a lot of those guys, whether it's Nico, whether it's Ronaldo, whether it's Brayley, Teague. I mean, even guys like Toby. Like I know Toby is a larrikin and I get all that, but when he talks and it's footy and it's in a serious moment, they listen. Like there's a lot of guys out there. So, but yeah, Blake's all ours for a while now. KL Iro has also re-signed, and that's going to be a really handy signing. Like he is I saw someone ask today whether he's in the top 10 centers, and I was like, top 10? How about you try top 2 or 3? Like, I think he's outstanding at his job, and I'm assuming he's only going to get better.
I was like, that came out of the blue. I was at work today and I just, saw the email pop and I saw Cronulla Sharks. I'm like, what's that? It's like Eero re-signs for 3 years. I'm like, out of nowhere, but absolutely going to take that. I mean, like you said, before his injury this year, he was probably the second best center in the comp, not named Stephen Crichton. Like,
Yeah.
unbelievable. And I don't think he's not barely missed a beat since he's come back for his 2 games. And I'm stoked he's able to get two games under his belt just to get that fitness and get the contact back and like primed for a big game on Saturday. I think defensively, like just nothing gets through him.
Yeah. Yeah. He's an amazing signing, and I'm not sure what the payday was, but it would be an improvement on what he was on, and maybe there's a bigger payday to come down the track. I'm not sure. He's not particularly old, but just a super signing, and again, ticks all the boxes. Defensively great, offensively great. There'll be zero issues with him off the field. He's just a salt of the earth, brilliant guy. And again, one of these players you can kind of build a club around, and you can lock him in that position, or lock him in the top 13. Maybe you move him somewhere. I don't know, but I'm just speculating. But he's a center for the next. He will never. There will never come a time when he won't be one of the first guys picked. I would struggle to think that, and we've got a lot of young centers coming through, but they're going to have to make their way on the other side because that's KL's spot. Like he's just nailed it. So great signing, and again, a really good player to have around the club. We saw Sam Stonestreet re-sign for 1 year, and that was a long time coming. He had a deal in front of him for a while, but he only signed it recently. And not only is that great depth in that position, obviously there are some people who are calling for him to be a starter, and that may happen. We'll see what happens down the track. But pretty happy he's sticking around. I think it was a honest deal, so I don't think it'll break the bank. I think he'll be able to put food on his table as well, so they both win. Some more stability for him at the club he loves for another year. What do you reckon about Stoney?
Yeah, I think like you said, for what he's probably getting paid and to be still pushing for first grade spot, I mean, there's a chance that, if he has a lights out off season or if there's an injury, like he's the first guy picked to come up. So I think for the value for money, I think it's a good signing. I'm still, I am a Sione believer, and I would have him round 1 next year. But like you said, there's plenty of people who disagree with that, and that's fine. If Sam Stonestreet's starting next year on a modest deal, it's not the end of the world. They're just different players.
There will come a time when Sione, his legs will get old, and whether that's in a year or whether it's in 4 years, I've got no idea. But it's good to have Stonestreet for at least 1 more year, and we'll follow his growth. And he's still a young guy, and maybe he just needs another year under his belt, another off season to show everyone what he can do. And so that's good news for him and for his fans. A lot of fans out there, and it's good to have another local junior signed up. And we have signed some more lower grade guys, but they're guys of note, guys that you'll be hearing about in the future. So we're particularly looking strong in the center position, Josh. So that's kind of good, because centers sometimes are just, we followed this team at certain points where the centers were just not that great. So, and having said that, obviously we've had some of the best of all time. So don't get me wrong, but my point is, when you got some good centers, and at the moment we got some good centers, and we got some more coming through.
I feel like the strike center is making a little bit of a comeback in the modern NRL era, or in this era of NRL. I think it went away. It was it was a big dollar position 20 years ago, and then it now is all wingers. But I feel like just having that strike center is proving to be invaluable again, and you're seeing these guys start to sign some bigger contracts, and you need a really good defensive center, because there's so much of that defensive structure relies on them to be making right decisions every 5 minutes of a game, and without them, you're busted. And we've seen that we've got two really strong defensive centers, and it's no coincidence that our defense is one of the best over, what do you say, the best of the last 2 months?
Yeah. So over the last 8 games with one loss in there, we've got the best defense. If you just look at that period, we are number one with fewest tries, fewest points, etc. So, and you can see it. You can see that, last week we conceded a try from a, kick overturn or whatever it was. But, and, the Dogs didn't throw much at us aside from maybe that first period. But we repelled them. We held them out. And we've done that a lot of the past 2 months. We haven't conceded over 22 points in a game. And the average, I think, is 15 points, Josh, is my point. 15 points a game in the past 2 months. And that's pretty good. You'll win a lot of games if you can keep teams.
If you're doing that,
points. Yeah.
Two, 3 tries, you can win a game off defense like that.
Yeah. So it's not being spoken about much, but, a lot of the TV shows, etc., they focus on things like, finals records and Nico Hines, and they take the big subjects, but a lot of them just don't look at it the way you and I, for example, would look at it, and a lot of our listeners. And that's one of the first things I look at: defense. Like how are we going defensively? Because as you say, you win games, you win premierships that way. And it's like, well, yeah, I thought to myself, they haven't conceded here and here and here, and then it was like, oh, okay. And I had a look at it, and it's something anyone can work out. Go have a look at it. It's pretty impressive. And you think about the tries we have conceded, they're from kicks, they're from turnovers, intercepts. So it's not the actual defensive line being broken. And that's also a positive for me. So I think they're finally getting to a place they want to be. They claim there's improvement in them. I don't know how you improve on last week, but hopefully you can, because, that was pretty amazing. Could you believe what you were watching as far as completions go? Like, it started out pretty good, and it was like, 10 of 11, and it just kept going to 43 or 46.
I don't think I really, I saw, that first 20 and 30 minutes, like, oh, we've only, made one error. And then it got to like the 70th minute, and I think it got brought up again. I was like, we haven't dropped the ball. Yeah. I was like, it's such a cliche, and we say it every week on the pod. If we complete 80, 85, 90, we are probably going to win any game we play. Like, I genuinely believe that.
Yeah.
Because we just make it so hard for ourselves, and we're dropping, 10 balls a game and giving the opposition 10 more chances they shouldn't have.
We will talk about that soon in the Roosters chat. Now, we have a game this week at Shark Stadium. It's going to be awesome Saturday night. If you haven't got a ticket and you can get one, grab one. I don't imagine there'll be many left soon. I don't know why it's not sold out, but it's not. It could be something to do with all the negative press that's around. But if you're listening to this and you haven't been to the ground for a while, there's heaps of toilets that are not portaloos, so don't worry about that. And it's nowhere near as bad as what people are saying. Can it get a bit cramped? Sure. Can it get a bit loud? Sure. But you'll have some fun, and it's going to be a great atmosphere. Finals atmosphere is always a little bit different, so I don't want to sell it too hard that it'll be a rosy, non-swearing, unheated environment. But hopefully everyone does behave. But I've banged on about it for a long time now. The finals events are very different. People get liquored up, and it's elimination. So we all know how that feels, and people get pretty heated. So I guess my only point there is be aware of what you're entering, but don't be fearing the stadium itself. The stadium is fine. And like I said, I'm not sure why it's not sold out, but it will be. And if it's not sold out, then we're going to have a bit of a problem. So I'm encouraging you to buy a ticket if you haven't already. And it's going to be a great game. I can guarantee you that. Win, lose, or draw, it's going to be a great game. And Josh and I are working out our plans, but we're hoping we'll down at the Hairy Man's Brewery. We're going to confirm that, though, before we meet you there. So we'll confirm that. And if, for example, Josh isn't there, I might still be there. We'll work it out. But it's going to be a great day. As Braden Hamlin he said to me in the interview the other day, he said, finals footy is coming to our neck of the woods, and we need to embrace it. And that means having a good time. So It's gonna be fun. Hopefully, it won't be too nerve wracking, Josh. I got a feeling it's gonna be a close one though, and we'll get to that. But I just want to give a bit of a spruik to people who are on the fence about going. Please go. Don't believe all the columns that you read in the papers. I believe, Josh, the latest column, which is by our very own Buzz Rothfield, I'm led to believe that was a bit of a political way of writing and getting attention that we need help rather than a punch in the face, as opposed to the other bloke that was writing stuff.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely gave off that vibes. I've only seen snippets of the article, but people give Buzz a lot of crap, but he's a smart guy and he's very tactical in what he writes and when he writes it. And it definitely, I read it as this is Buzz pulling his weight, trying to again help out his beloved Sharks to get some funding, and probably a little nudge from Dino to say, hey, could you write a scathing review, and just we'll sort you out with some beers.
Yeah. So it's our little stadium we love. I'll tell you what I don't appreciate, Josh, is all the chat online. I know that's what people do. They chat. I get it. But particularly Roosters fans, and obviously non-Roosters fans as well, jumping in. And you would have seen the conversations. Just,
oh yeah,
referring, people saying like, what was one of the quotes? It may be a dump, but it's their dump. It's like, I can say that.
Yeah.
You can't say that. You don't wear the colors. You can't say that. That's offensive to me. And just the other thing, Josh, I can't get over is, and again, I know that people write stuff online to have a laugh and because they're bored or they're lonely or whatever. I get it. But have you ever really invested a campaign to bring down another stadium that you go to once every 2 years? Like, I cannot. If it was all Sharks fans, I'd understand. I'd be like, oh, well, we experience it. That's your opinion. These people that come here once or twice every 2 years, and it's just like the worst thing they're ever going to do in their life. Oh, I can't believe I'm going to that place. So what are you experiencing that we're not experiencing? I don't know, man.
Sam, I would be surprised if half the people that say what they say online have even been to the stadium in their life.
True.
Honestly. And they'll be like, oh, you wouldn't catch me dead there. I'm like, well, don't come and don't whinge. Like, if you're not being affected by not coming, then shut up. Like, honestly, like, yeah, it's not the best, but like, I'm not looking for a 5-star Michelin restaurant experience. I'm going down to have a couple of beers and watch the footy and get out of there. I might go to the bathroom once. Like,
but can you imagine? There's a game at, I think I used Leichhardt earlier, but I don't want to keep referencing one place. Can you imagine there was a game at Brookvale? We'll say Cogra. We'll say Cogra, right? Because you and I don't like Cogra. Imagine this game at Cogra, a finals game. Okay, of course we would write silly stuff about it, but we wouldn't have a campaign to get the NRL to say you're never going to. Like, the latest thing is, the NRL is going to say this is the last year, which I don't know if I actually believe that theory.
yeah,
but I just, as you say, maybe half of them are just haven't even been there and they're bored, whatever. I get it. But I just can't fathom that we've come so far in life that this is where we're at, where it's like hours and hours of judging this ground that we play in. It's like, what? I get that it's not Allianz. I've been to Allianz. Allianz is terrific, but that's not our ground.
Also, Allianz's turf is worse, probably the worst in the NRL. So it's like, you want to go on about like the experience is great. What about the players doing ACLs and getting injured on that turf? So what's the real hazard?
The whole, like, you're shutting out people, you're shutting out your own fans. I mean, if they were that worried about shutting out fans, then we wouldn't play there at all. Like,
yeah,
that's the other thing that grinds me a bit, Josh. I understand that, for example, if I logged on, I'd have just the same amount of chance as, so me who goes to every game, I'm a season ticket holder, I've got the same chance as my next door neighbor who doesn't go to any games but thought, I'm going to go to a finals game. Now, they've got every right to go to that finals game. I'm not saying they don't. They've got just as much right as what I do. But if they're only going to the one game of the year that's a finals game, and we're shutting them out, for example, if you go with my theory, what do we care? Why do we care about those people that come to one game a year? Where, people always talk about where are the 80,000 people that were at the grand final? Well, guess what? They only care when we play in a grand final. But there's 10, 12, 15,000 that care every week. That's who I'm worried about. I'm not worried about my next door neighbor who thinks it'd be a good social event. I couldn't care less.
Sam, I think we need to take the approach of like the Panthers of playing the villains and go, you know what, we are going to play there, and it's not the greatest, but sucked in, finish above us, knock us out of being hosting a home final. I think we need to just embrace the crappiness a little bit, and I say that with love and respect.
I think a lot of people are. I think a lot of the players are, and I think the staff are. And someone like me, and I've said it openly, I've said, I'll play anywhere, anytime against anyone. I don't care. We'll play at Allianz. We'll do the Mud Bowl like Friday Night Lights. We'll play at Woolaware Golf Park. I don't care. I'll go to Homebush. But the fact that we're allowed to play here, the NRL said it's cool, and they've got to put up with all this drivel from seasoned journalists to part-time keyboard warriors. It's like, this is not healthy for anyone. Like, it's just, and I'm like you. I'm like, well, you know what? Screw you. I'm going to get on board with my team who plays in this small stadium, and I'm going to say, sucked in, come down on, love it or lump it, because of the carry on. Otherwise, if they intellectually and without a bullying and without any of the nonsense going on said, you know what, guys, it's just not good enough. We think you should move somewhere. We'd be like, oh yeah, let's talk. But the whole carry on is just ridiculous. And I get it's footy and it's tribal, and I'm all for that. It's going to be a fun atmosphere on Saturday, and I've spoken about it way more than I wanted to, but it's just really kind of, because I'm not the sort of guy that's going to jump on and reply to everything online like, oh, screw you. Like, I don't want to be that guy. I never will be that guy. But it's just people are weird, dude. That's my summation. People are weird.
The last thing I want to say on it is that with those guys, it's the media types, right, who want the flashy box that they can sit high up and they get the free food, they get the free beers, but come down and stand on the hill with the punters, and it's like the best day out. Like, I know I'm biased because I'm a Sharks fan, but standing on that Sharks hill with a couple of mates, having a couple of beers and cheering on the boys is like, that's as like tribal and there's like the ferociousness of like why I love the footy, and I don't want to go and, sometimes my experience, I don't want to go sit in a seat cramped up next to randoms I don't know. I want to go stand on the hill and jump around in Yahoo and have that freedom to just like experience life, not through my phone for 80 minutes,
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. That's a good point. I think the other thing is about that is we don't have a government grant, right? And like art, which, is a lot more historical than our venue, as you've said many times, and a lot of us experienced it, it's an absolute not a good place to go watch footy. It's like, I would say 70% of that ground is just not, I'm going to take that back. I'm not going to put a percentage on it. There are places in that ground where you cannot see when you've paid your $40-$50 to get in. So the only difference between that and ours is they're getting money to fix it and we're not. So, and that's a whole other debate we're not getting into now, but yeah, it's been a bit annoying, Josh. As much as I said, bring it on, I warned everyone probably in July this would happen. And that's not, I told you so, because everyone knew it was going to happen. But now it's happening. I'm actually not enjoying the experience. I'm like, oh, not this again, not another column, it's just negativity, man. It's negativity.
Mate, it'll be awesome if we win and we're walking out of the going, you came here, we knocked you out. Like, shove it up, because we owe these guys one. We're not going to jump too far ahead, but we owe these guys one.
Absolutely. Have to win. And the main reason is because they'll be in our stadium and it'll make it even worse for them. And then we can worry.
It's going to be there, Sam.
Al's going to be there. Don't worry about Al. Al's very high up in the NRL world. And I think he even wrote it online on the X. He wrote, don't worry about me. It's not about me. And I'm like, Al, I've got mutual really good friends. I know you're a good guy. If it's not about you, stop banging on about it, mate. And I'll probably see him and I'll go up and say g'day, and I'm going to have a little whisper and say, hey, we need to stop this stuff. Like man to man, let's stop, brother. Come on.
I'm sure he'll take
Anyway,
that very well.
he'll be fine. He's a gentleman in his own way. He'll be fine. Let's talk about something a lot more wholesome, and that is our friend Jason Hawes at Crips and Crips Real Estate. He's a great Sharks man. He's a season ticket holder, I believe a one-time sponsor, and he is just in the Sharks community. He's been a real estate agent for about 25 years now. Lived here all his life. If you got any questions, issues, ideas about real estate, give him a call 0410 417 450. That's 0410 417 450. Great man, great human, great family man. And tell him that we sent you and he will definitely help you out. He's a huge Sharks guy. He's always mentioned me about the Sharks. He knows his stuff. And that is Jason Hawes at Crips and Crips Real Estate. Josh, let's get through a little bit of mail and then we'll let you go home to bed, so to speak. You're already at home. Now, Stephen said, these are in no particular order. Stephen said, what a turnaround. 2 months ago, I was saying we wouldn't make the 8, and now we've won 7 of the past 8. The last game was the best performance in a few years. It's what, as a fan base, we've been expecting all year. Everyone's back to full fitness, and the bench was outstanding. I couldn't fault the team, and if we can do that against the Roosters, we'll give ourselves every chance of getting the win. He does talk about the hip drop, but this came in before the hip drop, so don't need to worry about that. And that is from Steven. So thank you for that. Appreciate you. And yeah, it's been a good couple of months, that's for sure. Only a few people in the press, Josh, are talking about it. It might have been Brad Fittler, who also wanted the game moved, but I think he said something about, the last 2 months they've won 7. Like he sort of knew his stuff about the Sharks. He was backing us in a little bit. But yeah, good points from Stephen. Appreciate that. Neil was in touch. Neil, I can laugh now. Neil wrote 2 letters, okay? And the first one, which I received a few of from a few different people, was about how could the club, i.e. Fitzy, play the full-strength team? And this was written after the Hines initial report came out. And he was pretty fired up, pretty angry, Neil. He's a long-time listener. But he's he's written back like great people do and said, sorry for letting my emotions get the better of me. I should have been focusing on the great performance against the Dogs. I'm happy Nico's charges have been downgraded and he's free to play. Come on, Sharkies, up. That's from Neil. Neil's a great man. Doesn't need to apologize. We'll take it, but nothing to apologize about. And you can always be emotional on this show. No dramas there. Ben wrote to us and said, I'll be honest, I was shocked the NRL would even consider using such a substandard facility to host a finals match. So I was pleased to see that Allianz has been closed for urgent repairs and won't be at finals venue. See you at the glorious Shark Park on Saturday night. Up. That's from Ben. Ben gets the letter of the month, and I haven't even read the rest of them. You're a great man, Ben. I was shocked the NRL would even consider using such a substandard facility to host a finals match. I was pleased to see Allianz has been closed for urgent repairs. That's from Ben.
Funny that.
Corey says hello. He says the Sharks look as though they're back. He thinks we can win this week. Now, he's talking about the team list. Let's do a bit of a spoiler here, even though people already know what it is. That is that Britton Nicker has been named on the extended bench, Josh. So Billy Burns has held his spot and his starting spot, and Britt is not even in the immediate bench, on the extended bench. Now, we think that maybe that'll change come game time. However, Corey says, don't change it. How can you drop Billy? And I'm also a fan of keeping the winning team. It looks like they're starting to play for each other. The defense was the best it's been. They played the full 80 minutes. The worry is the high kicks to our wingers, mostly Katoa. Last week they showed they could do it. We need to practice that to stop Tupou. The battle will be one of the forwards. We have the better bench. I have that feeling of belief. Sorry. He also wants revenge for the Shark Park loss recently in the finals against them. And he believes in week 2, he believes we'll be playing in week 2, and on Saturday night this week, we'll be tasting delicious roast chicken. Get out there and win, Sharks. Let's go. That's from Corey. Thanks, Corey. So a bit of talk about the high kicks again, which we are concerned about for both sides of the field. But some great analysis there. Now, let's just talk about it. I think it's a bit more about it, but let's talk about it. Josh, has the coach done the right thing so far with naming the team and with Billy and Britton, etc.?
Look, I think Britt needs to play. As much as I just spent 20 minutes going on about how good Billy is, I just think he's the guy that's we've signed long term. He's the guy that's been there all year. When he's fit, he plays. But I'd be looking at trying maybe getting Billy a spot on the bench. I think he's earned it, and I think he brings something different.
All right. We appreciate Corey being in touch. Now, this is an excellent email that came in tonight from Sheldon. Lifetime Shire boy, long-time listener to you and to Adam Newman way back, and now first-time writer. Now, Sheldon is actually known on the live post-match games as Grunge Meister Fuzz, which always catches my attention because I'm such a 90s grunge dude. So Grunge Meister Fuzz is actually Sheldon. And we actually met Sheldon, you and I, Josh, back at the Hairy Man before the ill-fated Roosters game in 2023. So we met Sheldon back then. We had a bit of a get-together there. He came over and he said 3 words to us. He said, "Garlic bread, baby." And we all had a laugh. And then we chatted to him. So he said he's got deja vu from 2 years ago. And this Saturday is all about redemption. And he talks about how he hopes that they bring the painful memories for the team. They inspires them to achieve some greatness. They've got 50 more matches of game experience. And he thinks, in his words, quote, "Our big dudes can outmuscle them." Sheldon and his crew regularly sit on the halfway in the Pete Burns concourse. And they love basking on the Eastern touchline where they feel like they're in the match. So that's cool. He says, "Let the haters bag out Endeavour Field. It's home, warts and all." And I mean, I've sat over there a lot in my life, Josh. It's a pretty good little spot that. In fact, when I started going to games, it wasn't exactly, showing my age, it wasn't exactly a concourse. It was something else. But that's where I used to go, right there, growing up. So I have very fond memories of watching from over there. And Sheldon and I spoke about music. He's got great taste. Very varied taste as well. And he's given us some more things. He talks about his most painful losses. And he's a bit older than you and I, Josh, I think, slightly. He says the 78 grand final replay on a Tuesday. The prelims, but especially in 1988, in 1996 against Manly, and of course 99, which was the disaster. His favorite Shark of all time is predictably, as he says, Steve Rogers. It was also a shout out to Greg Pierce. He'll be there on Saturday. He says, "Thanks again for making the pod. You keep us all sane throughout the thick and thin of a season." So that's from Sheldon. I mean, that could be the email of the month too. Thank you, Sheldon, from the bottom of our hearts. And we hope that we see you out there. If you see us out of the ground, make sure you come up and say hello. Tell us who you are, and we'll have some more chats. But appreciate all that. Some great memories there, and also about this Saturday night. And we might move on from that, but that is just, fantastic stuff. Appreciate it very, very much. Now, where am I going, Josh? I know where I'm going. Drew talks about some tackles that went wrong. Sent me a few examples. That's awesome. To do with Nico and that kind of thing. Now, Steve has just written to us. And he said, I'm starting to finally be impressed by the Sharks after that last game. That's the way we should have played all season. It looks like they finally found their mojo. But it is the Sharks, so I'm worried. We should be okay. We need to play down their end as much as possible. Yep. Stop their backs running. Yep. Need to bash them. Yep. And we will hurt them. Yep. Don't give away dumb penalties. Play for each other. Limit the errors. The Roosters are known for making errors when they get bashed. So just bash them. He also says, I felt all season that there was a 2016 feel about it. Let's go. And anything is possible. Up, up. We just don't want this. We need it, says Steve. Not sure about a 2016 vibe for me, but I think there was one at the start of the season. But, Steve, we appreciate you being in touch. I like everything you're saying. Hopefully we can do all that. We're all a little bit on edge about how the game is going to go, but there's no reason not to believe that it's going to be a positive outcome. So thank you very much for that. And just a few more, Josh. Well, I've got you. This is from the other famous Josh from the podcast, Josh Conway, who is up north, and we hung out in Vegas with quite a lot. He says, excellent 80-minute performance on Saturday night. Couldn't have asked for much more. Nico was fantastic. Back five were great. Back to doing what they do best. Overall, our completions and discipline were brilliant. Line speed and communication defense, top notch. Love the aggression in defense. The Chooks will be a tougher assignment for us, but they will give us chances in attack, which is a very good point. Also, stresses kick pressure and defending the high ball will be vitally important. What about this, Josh? He secured some upper ET stand seats. And he's flying down Saturday. He's pumped and cannot wait. Hopefully catch up with you and some of the crew pre-game while I'm there. Up, up. That's from Josh. Well, I might see you in the stand,
my
Josh.
seats. Damn you, Josh.
He might have. That's great news. And he, as usual, he sees the game very accurately. Paul says, hopefully we can get the job done. I love that we went on a signing spree. So that's been quite interesting, Josh. The signing spree at this time of the year. It's a bit of a, it gets a bit of a spring in the step.
Yeah.
And what else does he say? He's not going to be at the game, unfortunately.
Damn.
But he'll be watching at some point, obviously. So that's from Paul. Shame you're not going to be there. Frank has written to us. I don't know if this is legit or something he's wanting but he said Toby off to the Catalans next year on a 1-year deal and then off to the Perth Bears. Have you heard anything about this?
No. That would seem a long way to get to go around to come back to Perth, though, for him.
Yeah, well, that's from Frank, and we'll see what happens there. I'm not sure if that's maybe he can let us know if that's something he thinks might happen or if he's heard it or it's fantasy booking. I don't know what he's doing, but that's just the message I got exactly. So I wanted to read it out. That's from Frank. We're not suggesting any of that is necessarily happening. That's just from Frank and what he's got to say for himself. I think that's all the mail, Josh, and thanks to everyone for being in touch. If it's not, let me just check this one more thing here, Josh. We might have one more. These ones are really hard to read. Oh, this one's from Jay. He's got a what-if situation. Imagine if this week's final series was back in the old McIntyre system, which was, he thinks, 1999 to 2012. You have matchups of Canberra versus Roosters, Storm versus Panthers, Bulldogs, Warriors, Broncos, Sharks. The current system is much more fair. The old format would have brought up some intriguing subplots, though. Might have stopped some teams like Penrith resting players, as well as having the old final system. That's from Jay. Jay's been sending me a lot of stuff. Thanks, Jay. Yeah, I mean, do you like how the top 8 works now, Josh? You happy with it?
I think, I love the new system. Wasn't the McIntyre like the 2 lowest losing teams were eliminated? So you could finish like 6th and be eliminated.
Yeah, there were ways, because remember 1 year the Dragons lost without. Was it without? No, it couldn't be without playing, but they. Yeah, the Dragons might have lost the game and then they were out, even though they finished higher. Yeah, something happened. Yeah,
it was something weird. Yeah,
it was funky. Yeah,
I think the system is much fairer, rewards the top 4 more, and I think I just think the games are more balanced. Like 1 versus 8 and 2 versus 7. Yeah, you know what's going to happen there. Like,
yeah, I
whereas
have to admit,
5.
They make it pretty hard to win a comp, and I know we waited a long time, but you're right. Like those games, it was pretty rare when the other team won. You legitimately don't know what's going to happen in most of these games this weekend, and
which is great. Great for the product. Like 5 v 8 is much better than 1 v 8.
Yeah, it is. And I don't like that whole, like a team can get knocked out, what you were talking about before. And even like the talk about the wild card weekend in the future, it's like a team comes 10th, we're going to reward that. Like there's got to be a line in the sand where you just sort of like go, you know what? You're not playing finals this year. You weren't good enough. It's going to be a long summer. Like, yeah, I'm definitely okay with how it is now. I do think that in my world, in my competition, I would tinker with the venue situation. In all seriousness, I would go back to even potentially neutral grounds. I was talking to someone. Who was I talking to? I'm sure they can remind me. And they were talking about how a Brisbane Sharks game might be played in Canberra, for example, just somewhere neutral where no one had the, just. I was like, yeah, that's kind of whack. But I mean, I guess we could fill out Canberra Stadium with Brisbane, and like it makes no sense. But I'm just not a fan of even like, for example, particularly the prelims where there's a home field advantage. I just think that's bogus. I don't
like Melbourne playing at Amy Park for a prelim.
Yeah, like I understand it's a national game, and I understand that if you bring Melbourne to Sydney, that's not very fair, which I think is where the Canberra thing comes in. But I don't know, man. I just, I grew up watching where they'd play it in 1 or 2 stadiums, and that was it. I'm not saying that it should all be in Sydney, but I just think once you get to week 3, Josh, this is my thing. Once you get to week 3, you both deserve to be there.
Yeah.
Particularly a team that's not at home because they've gone through 3 weeks to get there, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like because Brisbane have Suncorp, that's their team, but that's the big stadium there. Melbourne, same thing. So Roosters and South, it's always going to be a home ground for them basically every week or 2 out of 3 weeks, which is Is it unfair? Yeah, I don't know the solution to it though. Like, do you just play every game at a core?
I can sort of live with the Roosters, Rabbitohs, Bulldogs thing because if you're looking at it from our point of view, well, our fans have every right and every chance to go to their home ground, in inverted commas, and fill it out. But how many of our fans have the money, time, dedication to go to Melbourne to watch us in a prelim? Maybe 1,000 people, maybe 2. Like, I'm not saying people don't do it, but it's never going to be a neutral, fair playing ground from that point of view. Yeah. And I know if you're good enough, you win the games. I get it. We went to Canberra in 2016, we won. I get it. I just think in my competition in the Sam Shinazzi NRL, we're playing out of 1 or 2 grounds. And I just think that, you know who I was talking about that with? It was with Joe from Mr. Paisley's. And he was talking about the English soccer, how they just use Wembley a lot now. You'd know about this. Wembley's just like the go-to. But we're in earlier times, FA Cup, for example, when he got to the good business, it was neutral grounds, and then you got to Wembley right at the end. But now they're just using Wembley. And we were talking about that, and we are talking about league, and that's who I was talking with. I apologize, Joe, who's listening. But yeah, the
Wasn't it like
feeling that
NFL, Sam, in the Super Bowl? It's like it's every year it's somewhere different, right? Like you would know. Like
yeah, that's true.
you might get lucky that it's your home ground. Like you might just
That's
that
a
can happen,
painful
right?
one, Josh. That's a painful one, yeah, because my team had the chance to play a Super Bowl in their home stadium by pure luck. Like they never really get that far, and they got that far, and they blew it.
Oh,
To get that, it was basically the prelim, so to speak. If they'd won that, the Super Bowl was in Minneapolis.
wow.
So you can imagine that feeling. But
Yeah.
maybe that's something you could do. But again, I'm talking more even just prelims rather than grand finals. So
Yeah, I agree though. Like it's like how I know fair and unfair is like it doesn't really matter in sport, but it's like Melbourne are
yeah,
gonna they finish top four, they get a week 1 in Melbourne and they get week 3 in Melbourne. It's like
yeah,
Broncos get week 1 in Brisbane
yeah.
and so on. It's like, is that fair? Like, should they be allowed to have a home prelim in Melbourne? Every year. And I know it's because they're so good, but is that fair?
I legitimately do not mind the week 1 business, and that's how they sort
No,
of.
neither do I.
I think I'm correct in saying they brought that in at some point, but then we still went to kind of the more neutral grounds in weeks 2, 3, and 4. Whereas now
Yeah,
it's like the home state thing, home city thing. Even Canberra, they're there the whole time.
Newcastle.
Yeah, all those places. So maybe it pays to follow a team that's regional in the hope that every couple of years or whatever, every 5 years, you get to play in a prelim at home. So anyway, we spent far too long talking about venues in this episode. That's for sure. Josh, while we got you, we'll talk about the Roosters game before we let you go. What are you thinking? What are you expecting? What are you fearing? Give us your thoughts.
If we get the Sharks that played the Bulldogs this weekend, I think we'll win the game, and I think we'll
Uh-huh.
do it in a relatively similar manner to how we beat them a few weeks ago, or when we beat them at home. I think it'll be a similar. If we win, it'll be like that. It won't be easier, but there'll be points and there'll be controversy, and there'll be also be great tries. If we're off, if we drop the ball and we don't take advantage of the chances that we're given, they'll do us. They've got too much talent. Like James Tedesco scares me, and the
Yeah.
wingers and Sam
Yeah.
Walker. Those are probably my big points. It's like if you shut down that middle and don't give Sam Walker chances in your 50 to create points, it goes such a long way. More than most teams with the Roosters, because they just love getting in there, and he's got so many tricks, and he can kick to Toops or mark. They've got gun players across the field. You cannot give them too many chances. I know it's so simple to say that, but if you do that, you win.
Yeah, I agree completely. And they definitely need to make the most of their chances. But I love the idea of playing them in their own half, because you can put up all the bombs you want. The wingers aren't fast enough to get there and cause any damage if they're kicking it from 50 meters out. So make them kick from the 50, take the risk after that. But yeah, you're right. Tedesco, it's crazy as it sounds. Like, I know he's going to win Dally M and get his jumper back and everything for the Australian team. I don't know if people realize the form he's in. Hey, like
It's
and probably
ridiculous.
because the other guys are taking the spotlight as well. But it legitimately all starts with him at the back. He's in crazy good form for an older player in that position.
You'd argue, and I know the Dally M is going to suggest it, but I think it might be his most complete season. I know it's not a Roosters podcast. I think it's his most complete season he's ever produced, and I think no Origin has really helped that, because
Yeah,
he's usually gassed by the end of a season, and I think it's reinvigorated his career, and he's probably going to get another extra 2 years out of himself. But you just cannot give him any space, and you cannot let them make any line breaks, because he'll be there and he'll finish the try. Like once they're through, and if they pass to Teddy, it's over. And if they do that 2 or 3 times, the game's gone, and they'll kick the Toops, get a
yeah,
try.
yeah,
There's 30 points.
yeah. The good thing about them is they have the capacity to really played dumb. And I
Yeah.
mean that respectfully. They have the ability to drop a lot of ball. They have the ability to give away penalties. Just all round bad discipline. So, if they're really on, then it's going to be a hell of a battle. If they're off a little bit and we're on, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah.
But there's no, aside from potentially the Warriors, there's no one good to play in this top 8. Like,
No.
there's just not. They're all at a level, and it's no use us fearing them. It's more just knowing what they can do and just trying to do your own thing. And that, in the process of doing your own thing, you kind of eliminate what they're doing. And it's going to be a fun one. It feels like we've only played them 3 times in finals. It feels like way more, but this is our 4th.
Recency bias.
It is, but yeah, it's going to be good.
I think what I would say, Sam, is the Roosters, more than any other team, I feel like play there as a unit, play the most like their halfback than any other team. When he's erratic and you see like he's under pressure, and if we're frustrating them, he loses his head and he just starts going for crazy stuff. The team falls apart. So I think the biggest thing for us is to rattle Sam, make him frustrated, make him try the 300-meter cutout pass and chip and chase and all this stuff. If you make him play like that, the team follows him more often than not. And once you've rattled the cage, they struggle to get it back and they can implode just by themselves. And if we keep our heads, I think we could have a really fun night.
I have to say, and I hand on my heart, I legitimately don't know anything about the team selection at the moment. I may know more in 24 hours, but I don't know anything about it. I got a feeling that one of the reasons Billy Burns was named to start was to really harass Sam Walker and the other half as well, who's a bit bigger bodied, but like Billy Burns is that kind of player, just in your grill, a lot of energy and very physical. Now, if I'm being also completely honest, which I try to be on this show all the time, I do think Britton Nicker is going to play at some point, whether it's starting, whether it's the bench, I don't know, but I'd be surprised if Britton Nicker is not starting or playing off the bench. If that's the case, because Teague's going to be doing it, we know Teague does it every game, whoever the other second rower is needs to be in their grill. And same with Colquhoun, same with Brayley. And it's got to be for 80 minutes. And it doesn't mean also that you rush up. Like, you just got to be smart about it. And I think that if we play smart, we win the game, and we win it quite, not easily, but we win it by more than a converted try. If our centers play smart, if Jesse Ramian plays smart, if Ronaldo plays smart in defense, I think we win the game. If they get a bit erratic, then they're playing erratic opposite them, and admitting erratic is never great fun. So
yeah,
there's a lot of responsibility on that defense to sort of shut down things, but also do it in a very responsible way. Like, don't lose your head. And even, I'll say this, even with our halves, and one of them in particular can be a bit of a shooter, by all means shoot, but make sure you hit your target. If you don't, a team like this can just destroy you.
That's one thing again is with Walker. Sometimes when you think you're shutting him down and closing space, that's actually when he's his most dangerous because he's forced to adapt on the run. And that's when I think he plays his best footy. If someone shoots out and he goes, oh, there's space there, I'm going to put a grubber in for Angus Crichton and he's going to score untouched next to the sticks. Your point's very valid. I think you've got to pick and choose your moments and not trying to do it. Because if you're consistently shooting out, Walker's going to go, next time he does it. Yeah. I'm putting Angus through a hole or something like that. I guess the final thing I wanted to say is, and I've said it in previous finals games, is we get so worried about, how good all the other teams are and how scary they are. But you've got to remember that teams would be thinking the same thing about us. Like, as much as everyone thinks we're easy beats, the Roosters will be, and I think fans deep down will be going, Jim's scared of Teague Wilton whacking, Walker or Nico Hines putting on a masterclass. Like, we've got to be confident that we're there for the right reasons. We're there because we deserve it. And we're at home and we're tough to beat there. And teams should be scared to come and play us. Like, we have nothing to lose. Every other team does. So we should be pumped. And I hope everyone's excited.
You do make that point every year, and I'm glad you do, because I never do. And it's completely accurate. Like, through various different work things that I do, I'm around, blessed to be around footballers, coaches, commentators, former players, like living the dream, right? And they do talk very differently than what you and I do, for example, about their colleagues and the way they see them. And particularly with current players and current coaches, as opposed to the former guys, like the old guys. Not to say that they're not respectful, because they are, but the current players that I have encounters with at our club and other clubs, and the coaches and staff, they're very respectful about their opposition. Like, you rarely hear them say anything like, they're easy beats, they're going to be this, they're going to be that. Like, that doesn't really go on. Now, maybe it happens in an inner circle. I'm not in an inner circle, but I'm just saying, although to be fair, in my work capacity, more so in an inner circle, and I do hear stuff, but you just don't hear that disrespect that you hear from the fans, which is very interesting in itself. Interesting subject. Yeah. But you're right. Like, you can have rugby league analysts on TV, on podcasts, whatever, say this team is soft, this team has a bad history, and the fans buy into it. Someone writes it online, it trends, it goes viral. But when it comes to opposition teams, they're not like that. Like, they might pick apart a weak player, or they're obviously going to like target someone. But generally, you don't hear that. And I'm glad you raised that, because it's a good point. We have a very good team. And when they're on, they're an incredible team. And, without getting too homerish on you, the club have released a very short video of Paul Gallen, which I've reposted everywhere. And he's just getting everyone fired up for Saturday night. And he says, this is your team. They sacrifice a lot. Now, also, they're obviously heavily compensated, but they do sacrifice a lot. We know this. And they're going to be out there doing their best for you and for them and their families and everyone. And it's a simple reminder that we are a really good team, and we probably finished lower than what we should have. Like, we should be higher, and we're pretty fit, and we're coming off a good game. And I've told you for a couple of weeks now, the coach is working his butt off to make it all go good. So it's all there, Josh. I can't see what's going to happen. Like, I genuinely can't tell you what's going to happen, but I reckon that I got a feeling we're going to win it and move on to week 2. And then we'll worry about week 2 then. But as we've said, it's not going to be easy, and they have to be on, and if you're not on against I think even if you're not on against the Warriors, you're going to get rolled, right? Like, it's just, that's
no one's
that
giving them a chance
year.
either, Sam. Like, and
I know.
The Warriors could beat the Panthers if they play out of their skin and they get that home crowd going. Like, they could do them too. Like, anyone can beat anyone in this final. That's what's so good.
Absolutely. I think the only thing with them is Penrith are going okay, and the Warriors have a lot of injuries. Yep. And they got guys coming in that aren't really as good as the other guys. And
it'll need to be a 10-4 kind of thing. Like, they just defend their hearts out.
I heavily favor Penrith, but I absolutely would not be shocked if they somehow found a way to win the Warriors, especially in week 1 at home. So
I'd love it. I'd love that.
We all would, my friend. We all would. And I believe we cross over in week 3, right? Is that right? To that part of the world, the Western Sydney part of the world. Is that how it works? If they're still around?
The Warriors?
No. Panthers?
Panthers? No, it'll be So if we win, we'll verse the loser of Canberra and Broncos.
Yeah. And then week 3.
we would verse the winner of Melbourne Canterbury.
So you're saying week 2, if Penrith win, Melbourne or Canterbury knock out Penrith anyway. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. So I think.
But what if
I
Penrith
don't
win?
think we verse. I think they verse the loser of Melbourne Broncos. No, sorry, they lose. They verse the loser of Melbourne Canterbury.
Yeah, okay. I'm getting really confused. I always get confused when there's the crossover.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the crossover now, and it's kind of.
I'm the same. I'm looking at it going, oh yeah, okay. Well, you know what? Let's just worry about the Roosters.
Yeah, let's beat the Roosters, and then we'll figure out if we're beating Canberra or Brisbane.
Yeah, I got a feeling it'll be going up to Brisbane, but you never know. So we will wait and see on that one. Hey, thanks for your time, Josh. Really appreciate you, and all of our listeners do as well. They love hearing from you. And we'll let everyone know about Saturday, our plans and that kind of thing. See if we can get together. If we can't, it's not the end of the world, but if we can, we certainly will try. Appreciate everyone's support. We've got a few more things coming at you this week, so stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed, whether it's on your podcast apps or if you watch us on the YouTube or listen on the YouTube, social media. If you can stand it these days, make sure you subscribe and you'll never miss anything. Because sometimes there's just not enough time of the day to promote an episode. So if you subscribe, it's there waiting for you. Or if you go looking for it, it's there for you. But if you don't, you won't know it's there. So make sure you subscribe. It's totally free and effortless on your behalf. Stay tuned. Stay pumped up. Grab a ticket if you haven't got one yet. And we'll see you down at the stadium. But before then, you'll be hearing from us. Up, Cronulla. Thanks for your time, Josh. We'll talk to you soon.